Welcome to Inside Richmond, the official vodcast of Richmond Rugby Club. My name is Tom Soulsby, and today we have a very special edition for you. As you can see, for the first time in our short vodcast history, we have more than one special guest on the show. We have three. All three of these men have skippered our Richmond Heavies. They've played crucial roles at our club over a number of years, both on and off the pitch, in various positions. So introducing Richard Holman, Ian Grundy, and Neil Darke. Guys, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you, Tom. Well, I'm fine. A year older. I had a birthday yesterday and survived, and doing as much as everybody can just to stay a bit positive and look forward to being back at the Richmond Athletic Ground, of course.
Well, very happy birthday.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, also fine.
Yeah.
Increasingly frustrated with lockdown. Not a great time to be running a pub company, and becoming increasingly radical in my views of how we should come out of this. But other than that, all good.
Fantastic. And Neil, how are you coping?
Yeah, very good. And this interview has afforded me the opportunity to have a bit of peace and quiet from the kids. So that's brilliant. So thank you, Tom.
Pleasure. And as I said, pleasure to have you guys on the show. It has been an incredibly challenging 12 months, that's for sure, for everyone. But I guess people might be wondering now why we have the three of you together on a Zoom call. Well, it's to chat about something that you are all incredibly passionate about, something which has done so much good so far and continues to develop and grow year by year. And we're not talking about the end of season tours. We're talking about the Richmond Heavies Foundation. Gentlemen, you've been there from the start, and you continue to be the pivotal force behind the amazing work of the foundation so far. You are indeed three of the four founding trustees of the Richmond Heavies Foundation. And we'll kick off with you, Richard. You're the chairman. 3 years ago, we lost three wonderful men, Ian Williams, Stephen Fan, and Stuart Barlow. Their deaths were tragic, completely unexpected, and ultimately led to the formation of this incredible foundation. Richard, can you sort of dive into it straight away and give us a bit of the background story behind the Heavies Foundation in more detail?
Yeah, I think it was just, as you said, three tragedies, just a collection of people, present heavies at the time, playing heavies ourselves, and the sort of broader club, wanting just to sort of to do something, or to make sure we could try and prevent that happening again, if at all possible, to try and support in a way, if it happened again, the families impacted, and these shocking occurrences. So the concept was to form a foundation to raise money. The logical thing was to do that through what we do well, which is a lunch, and with some quite clear goals. And we were helped enormously by other heavies, great supporters who came and set that up with us at the beginning. We'll be very grateful for that, which then allowed us to have the funds to set up our primary goal, which was heart screening for all members, playing members and coaches and refs, because there was a cardiac relationship with two of the guys that died, sadly. And then from expand that to offer support in other ways, through mental well-being, and to expand beyond once we knew how much we could perhaps raise and what we could do. And we had a second lunch, and successful in our plans, and we're going very well, and the guys will tell you a bit more about that. Sadly, then COVID came in and has impacted so many of us and the foundation's goals, but we're equally proud of what we've managed to continue to do and develop during that lockdown, and adapted slightly. So, sad beginning, positive outcomes, and also to keep the memory of those guys alive in what we believe is a very positive manner.
Yeah, definitely. And you have just recently released your first review from the first 2 years. I'm going to put that link at the bottom of this video on YouTube. It can also be found on both the Heavies Foundation and the Richmond Rugby websites. So please do have a read of that as we dive into this this conversation a bit more. But Richard, as you spoke about, times are tough. Everyone is going through different things at the moment. Mentally, everyone is experiencing different emotions. Ian, I guess, can you touch on the Foundation's work around mental wellbeing? Obviously, the Heavies Foundation launched the club-wide mental wellbeing program last year, and it continues to be available 24/7, free of charge for all Richmond members. Can you sort of touch on why this was launched and how it is available?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, as we came together initially, and sort of in the first few days of the foundation, our primary goal was to get a screening program in place, and but we also felt that as we discussed within the club, we were getting some messages back. Obviously, men's mental health has for a couple of years now been a much more spoken about aspect. And also, as we spoke to the women's teams and everything else, it came through clearly that there were sections of the club that would like a mental health program to be put in place. Yeah, certainly the medical team were very keen on adding that to the portfolio. So initially, we put in place for all players over 18 the medical team and all coaches of all age groups, but minis for youth, and the senior squads, men and women, a full mental health, mental wellbeing facility, really, which included a sort of an app on the phone, but also access to counselling and advice covering a whole gamut of work problems, sleep problems, bullying at work, relationship issues, and because it was in the entirety. And that we teamed up with a company called Care First and an app called Thrive. And it works really well. If I was honest, I'd like to see more engagement with the app as we move forward. I think people out there in the senior squads would say they don't mind testing. If you think you're fit, you still do your fitness tests. Therefore, there's still a bit to go in terms of engagement. But I think those who have used it have been really impressed, and there are some really strong advocates for it now around the club. And then as we headed into the last sort of 12 months and COVID came on the scene, and the club weren't able to support each other face to face as much as maybe they had done, and there were obviously going to be employment issues and people losing relatives and everything like that. As a group, we felt very strongly that this was an opportunity for the club to do something really special and roll it out to the entire membership. And in fact, over that period of time, we got emails from Mind coming through saying that, in their opinion, this was the first time they'd seen the club put in something so comprehensive for their entire membership, and which was a real pat on the back for the foundation, but also shows what a strong program it is.
Yeah, and you obviously mentioned that we're probably one of a few clubs that has this sort of mental wellbeing program in place for all members, which is just fantastic. You mentioned engagement, and obviously that's something that people might use when they need it, but you really think it's something that people, I guess, for members that they haven't access to, and they know it's there, will be beneficial at some point if they need to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I said, it's kind of your fitness testing, but for for the top 6 inches. You know, you don't only do fitness tests when you're unfit. You do fitness tests all the time just to monitor your fitness. And I think as that conversation develops and it becomes, and we're moving forward, we're looking at how we develop sort of champions within each different squads and age groups, and just to get it on the agenda as much as we possibly can. So kind of a greater proportion of members and players just have it on their phone when you're commuting, when you're sitting at home. It's 30 seconds that you do a couple of times a week, and it just sort of identifies a sort of an early warning system. If your general mood has been dropping, it may signpost you to some activities about improving sleep, or if it's more serious, might say, why don't you phone the number and speak to someone? And that sort of engagement is where we're aiming at. There is engagement out there, and it is well received, but that's our aim over the coming months, is to improve that engagement or increase that engagement.
And I guess a simple question: are you proud of this program? Because, as I mentioned, it's not many other sporting clubs have this in place for their members.
Yeah, extremely. I think it's great, and I think it's the feedback we get. It's like the club putting an arm around you. It really demonstrates it. It's something that I don't have to wait for a monthly NHS call or whatever. I mean, the feedback we've got has been absolutely fantastic on it.
Well, it is available, as mentioned, to all Richmond members and your immediate family. It's available for free 24/7. And you can access it via the Richmond Heavies Foundation website. It's also on the Richmond Rugby website. And the links will be visibly available under this video on YouTube and wherever we promote it. So please do use it where possible. Moving on swiftly to another incredibly important aspect of your work so far, and that's the cardiac heart screening program and the recently formed DFib Fund. Both are hugely important initiatives. And Neil, up to you now. Can you sort of touch on these projects, what the response has been like so far?
As Richard mentioned, two of the tragedies were cardiac related. So, one of the reasons for setting up the foundation was to put in place a screening program for all players and coaches and referees, etc., to see if one could prevent any future tragedy. And that's something that we, on the back of our fundraising, we were able to do. Pre-COVID, we screened over the course of 9 to 12 months. We screened over 300 players, coaches, and rugby volunteers at the club. We had 3 screening days in the off season. For the sort of senior men's squad, the senior women's squad. We had a youth screening day, and we've also put in place a partnership with one of the club sponsors, the New Victoria Hospital, to a sort of a discounted screening, or discounted for us through our relationship with the New Victoria Hospital, but free for the players and coaches, screening at the New Victoria Hospital in Kingston. So a number of the heavies and coaches can obviously access at a time of their convenience. And also the New Victoria Hospital provides a pathway for escalation. So we have identified a number of issues with individuals, and those individuals have all received treatment and are all fine. So that's kind of good in the sense of we've identified issues and solved them. So it's sort of, screening is a bit of a funny one, isn't it? Because you sort of don't want to find anything. We think that's been really helpful. We know the people who've received the screening are hugely grateful. Throughout the age groups from the you can only screen over 14, so over 14s upwards. There's been boys within the youth section. There's been guys within the senior squad. heavies, coaches, all have had issues picked up and have subsequently received treatment. So yeah, that's been fantastic. Obviously, we've had to pause that screening program, during COVID, and as soon as we can, we want to get back to sort of screening the senior guys, those new players or players who missed last time. Some of the players that have joined the club, yeah, we'd like to extend that, across the whole of the club in due course.
Fantastic.
Tom, in this and both with the mental wellbeing, that this is a club. This is for the club entirety, and the board and the club have been incredibly supportive and encouraging us to make all these available. And Steve Hill, etc., access to the first team squad and all the players. So it's a very joined up, long term, sustainable plan. These are not one offs. These are to be part of the fabric of the club going forward.
Yeah, and that was
that enough is what we've wanted to do is put in a legacy that was sustainable rather than a knee-jerk one-off screening or short-term mental health program. This is something that we believe passionately should be there for the long term.
Yeah, definitely. And in case you missed it, Ian, you actually appeared on ITV London News on Wednesday evening this week to discuss this subject and the cardiac screening program, which was fantastic.
He's far more photogenic than I am, Tom. So,
well, unfortunately, we didn't get to see his face. You did have a face cover on, but that is the times that we're living in. But yes, again, that was with club partner, the New Victoria Hospital. So a huge thank you to those guys. The video interview is now on our social media club channels, so please check it out. And it just really highlights how important this area is. And as the guys have just said, it is something that will be here to stay, and it will be available to all players and members going forward. So that's just really fantastic.
We're very lucky to have Ian here tonight.
Yeah.
His busy media schedule.
Oh, absolutely. He was, we had Channel 4, BBC, they all wanted a bit of a slice of Ian. So
you're the pull.
So we got him in here. Feel very grateful to have you here. So
I feel honoured not to have to wear a mask on a screen.
There you go.
And I apologise for all the cracked screens around.
Yeah, there we are. If you were going to wear a mask, it would have to be a Richmond mask. So, but don't worry.
I did try to wear a Richmond mask, but they wouldn't let me. It was in the hospital. It had to be a medical grade mask.
Now, all things COVID, it's obviously impacting us all. It's frustrating. We know that. And for the charity sector, it has it's stormed through the defence in an immense impact. It's had a huge negative impact, I guess. And for the foundation, it's been hit in many hard ways. Your usual events, so your sort of annual club lunch was cancelled, and many other projects, as you have mentioned, have been affected. Back to you, Ian. Can you sort of touch on the financial aspect of the foundation as it is at the moment, and the need to keep on raising funds?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're incredibly lucky that our finances are pretty robust at the moment. The first 2 years were largely, I mean, not in entirety. There were contributions and some challenges done out there, but as we set out, we decided, well, when you're starting out, let's do what you're good at, and the heavies are quite good at doing lunch. So our lunch grew from 100 to 200 to 500, and with a call of we're going to need a bigger boat happening fairly regularly. So having gone through those two lunches, and actually sort of hats off to Neil and Richard who did the heavy legwork on those two lunches and just did a fantastic job. And sort of anyone that was there will know what great events and professionally run events they were. And that's enabled us. The funding from those have enabled us to continue to fund the mental wellbeing program and ring fence the bursaries to the support to the families, and the Stuart Barlow bursaries for the minis and youth areas. And we're kind of sort of in a pretty strong position in terms of having the finance to go through, but we can't deny that this year has been much harder. We haven't, it will, I'm sure Richard will talk later, we've announced the date for the lunch later this year, and it will be 2 years since our last one. So we have become sort of more reliant on other fundraising events.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's worth adding, Tom, we haven't been completely idle. I mean, during the summer, one of your previous Inside Richmond guests, Rupert Al-Hussein, became the first ever rugby prop to swim the Channel, and one of the causes he raised money for was the Heavies Foundation and our recently launched DFib fund. So that was amazing. And more recently, during the second lockdown, a Richmond youth dad, Len Wilby, raised not inconsiderable sum of money for the foundation during a sort of series of running challenges to sort of London landmarks. And I mean that's a brilliant example. I mean, I don't think either Richard, Ian, or myself have ever met Len. He's been to our lunches. His son got screened as part of the youth screening, and one of his son's friends had a cardiac screen at his school, courtesy of another screening group, and I had an issue picked up. So it's something that sort of he's been he's very aware of, and he's seen what we're doing, and has obviously liked it sufficiently to get off his butt and run a couple of 100 miles and raise a truckload of money for us. So we're very grateful to Len. And that's the sort of thing we'd like to encourage is people who feel connected to the club, who feel connected to the foundation, who can help us in many ways, and help us diversify our income streams, so we're not solely reliant on lunches. You don't need to run or swim. You can do other things, but I mean, myself, Richard, and a number of other heavies are going to cycle the length of Britain later this year in Land's End, John O'Groats, to raise some money for our DFib fund. I mean, the DFib fund, as an example of it's probably the first example of us doing some work within the wider rugby community, not just in Richmond. So, I mean, Richmond knows very well. A few years ago, the life of a young rugby player was saved by the availability of a DFib at the club and some trained staff at the club. And not all clubs are lucky enough to have either of those things. So the DFib fund is all about putting defibrillators and training staff at community rugby clubs around the country who maybe can't afford it or don't have access to that. So we've, courtesy of Rupert, we've put out a grant application, and we've had 70 clubs apply, of the first 20 of which are going to get DFibs hopefully within a couple of weeks. They'll get trained by our DFib partner, Community Heartbeat Trust. We can hopefully start to make an impact within the wider rugby community. I mean, a number of those rugby clubs share facilities with cricket clubs and football clubs and hockey clubs. So they're, as we know, the rugby club is very central often to a community. So those defibrillators will hopefully affect and positively impact those local communities, led by their rugby clubs, and we're very proud to do that. And that's the start of our work outside of Richmond. We obviously we've got our screening program, we've got our mental wellbeing program at Richmond, and we'd like to help other rugby clubs as well.
It's just extraordinary, guys. So, I think everyone at the club would just thank you for what you are continuing to do. You mentioned the ride across Britain later this year. When will you sort of announce a bit more information on that and how folks can sort of help out?
It's due to be in September.
We're really doing it.
Yeah, we are, Richard. Yeah, we are. You've got to start training, mate.
No intention on sitting on a mountain bike.
Yeah,
road bike.
I mean, I should add, Tom, that Jim Cotler, the fourth founding trustee, who's unfortunately not on the call, he's doing it. So Ian is the odd man out here of the trustees who are not doing the right. Anyway, let's move on.
There's no way we can convince you, Ian, to jump on and take it on board.
You notice it's the backs who are quite happy to get on board with. But I did speak to Richard about it, and maybe nearer the time, I don't need to do the training. I'll just do it at the last minute. These guys need to plan a little bit in advance.
It's in September, Tom.
Yeah.
We'll shout about a bit more. There's still, with COVID, it looks like it's going to happen. We are genuinely in training, and ideally hoping along that, along the route, there will be clubs where we will be delivering defibrillators as well. So it should be a fantastic thing, but we will explain more and as much as possible, and as many people who can get involved would be fantastic. But
yeah, absolutely, sounds amazing, guys. And we look forward to hearing more about it. It has, as mentioned at the top, it's been very tricky 12 months for everyone, but things are starting to look brighter. Richmond are back playing some championship rugby in 2 weeks' time, which is great. We will hopefully be able to socialise in some capacity soon. So I guess just putting a positive spin on things and opening this question up to you guys on the Zoom floor. What are your hopes for the foundation for the year ahead and going forward?
So personally, I think that and thank you for allowing us to come and talk to you. It sort of just makes sure the foundation is understood as being for everybody. It happens to have heavies in the name, and that's just its beginning, but it wouldn't be here without support of many people. So I think my aspiration is it becomes even more entwined within the club, and to that end, there are more people putting their hands up to want to help and get involved. You don't need particular skills or energies. We're just looking for more people, and we would welcome you with open arms. So hopefully even more people getting involved would be one of my primary hopes for this year.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, and obviously just speaking about the screening, getting back to doing what we set out to do, really. I mean, rugby can recommence, socialising can recommence, and then we can recommence looking after people off the pitch. So once we're all able to do that, we'll recommence the screening program to get the new players screened, anybody that fell through the cracks last time, new members to all teams, new coaches.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if we look back to 2 years ago when we set out on this, we've got bigger quicker than any of certainly I thought we would, and I think our sort of working with the Richmond boards has become much closer, much quicker, and I guess we'd like to continue to be able to extend the sort of player welfare and support side of what we do, and possibly open up new areas as we discover and funds allow. But I guess where I hope we make even more progress over the next year or so is about the cultural stuff, where screening just becomes part of the culture. The mental health support for each other, and the understanding becomes, you know, there are sort of champions who are looking out for each other in each age group. And, you know, that's where we can't do it, because the three of us, you know, we're, you know, in my case, a fat old player. I'm not down there at training all the time. I'm certainly not down there every Saturday. And that's where we need to facilitate. But, you know, the cultural bit is where we know we succeeded, where everyone, every member, every player knows that mental health facility is there. And that's where we hope to get to over the next couple of years.
Fantastic. And just before we move on to just a slightly different topic for you, Richard, the season review, the inaugural review, which I mentioned at the top, has been released. Richard, can you sort of just touch on what's covered in that and why you sort of recommend that everyone gives it a read? I've given it a read and it's just fantastic. It's a great review and obviously highlights everything that we've spoken about today.
Yeah, we just wanted to assimilate everything we've done in one sort of nice, easy to read paper for everybody, those who might still not be aware of what we're doing. An opportunity to say thank you to you know, to many people who've helped us, companies, names, etc., some of which clearly we would have missed today, and apologies. And just to sort of lay out a bit of a roadmap of what our intentions were. So, you know, if you've done well and listened to three old men today prattle on, it'll be a very easy read. If you haven't had time, read that, and hopefully you'll have a very clear understanding of what we're doing, and those people who've helped us along the way.
Yeah, definitely. So please do give that a read. As mentioned, the link will be below this video on YouTube, and it's on both the Richmond Foundation Richmond Heavies Foundation website and the Richmond Rugby website. It's there to be read and downloaded, so please do. Richard, some recent news out of the club, which is another really fantastic step forward. You have been announced as the chair of the newly formed Richmond Fundraising Committee. So congratulations, and thank you for taking that on.
Yeah.
Can you sort of just explain what your role will be, and how it will sort of, maybe it will benefit the Heavies Foundation and also differ slightly?
Yeah, basically it's just trying to you know, work with the board and help coordinate lots of great things that happen within the club that are under that umbrella of fundraising, away from the commercial revenue streams of the club that come under the board and Jimmy and other people like that. Yeah. And really just to add a bit more link between all of them, to try to make them more efficient, to try to get a clear calendar of events, so we're not sort of duplicating or always asking the same people for monies and supporting and so on and so forth. So trying to establish a platform of fundraising events to make each individual one as efficient as possible. And for my role, trying to set up a group of people who will help do that. And I'm looking for volunteers, as always, but really looking for people who perhaps might not necessarily have got involved already. I can assure you don't need to have fundraising experience. You just need to want to help the club, and I can guarantee a bit of fun along the way. So you don't see major changes, but looking at everything that we do, trying to do it a little bit better, and be very clear to members and those people who support those events where those monies are going and how they will ultimately be used. So yeah, beginning, please do put up your hands. It'd be nice to have some new faces involved.
Definitely. And the best way to contact you to get involved is just via email. Is that correct?
Yeah, please. Which I can shout out, or it's on previous newsletters. And
yeah, I've got it right here, and I will flash it on the screen now for a couple of seconds. So it's Holman at ftech.co.uk. So please, if you want to get involved with the Richmond Fundraising Committee and to help out the and help Richard, please do get in touch.
Yeah. You know, and a big thank you to you, Tom. You've been a great supporter of of us as a foundation.
Absolutely.
And all the club and the communication. This is another great example, and
thank you.
we couldn't talk to our membership without you, so we are extremely grateful.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, and I think I think everyone is looking forward to watching a bit of rugby and watching Richmond back in action, albeit unfortunately behind closed doors, but that is it at the moment. Gentlemen, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Thank you for your time. Keep up all the great work. The foundation is in very good hands, and we cannot wait to see how it continues to evolve. So, yep, thank you very much. A few reminders from me before we close the door on this fantastic episode. Please make sure you check out the Richmond Heavies Foundation. Go to their website. It's now on your screen. It's www.richheaviesfoundation.org. It's on the screen, so just follow that link. It's also below this video on YouTube. Please also follow the Heavies Foundation on social media for the latest news and updates. Those links will appear on your screen now. That's Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And Matt Brown, my colleague in comms with you guys, does fantastic work. So please, a big shout out to Brownie as well. But guys, thank you again for your time. And thanks for watching another episode of Inside Richmond. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, bye.